Oh,
Good morning, all of you.
good morning. So nice to
Good
see
morning,
you.
Venerable Elizabeth La.
Good morning.
Good morning, Venerable Jimbala. Good morning, Arnold. And good morning, each and every one of you.
Anita, I think we'll start with the first session, and you can introduce.
Sorry, in the Mala.
Yeah, Anila, you can introduce. Since we've discussed already yesterday.
Okay, I think Venerable Elizabeth is going to do it.
So thank you very much, Venerable Geshe Damdul, for accepting to come and teach us this morning for the French people. And we are so pleased, you know, because we know we are so busy. So thank you very much. We are very, very happy to have you with us this morning.
Okay. Good morning, all of you. And yes, indeed, it is a great joy for me to be with Kalachakra Center. Being a part of it for the last, I think, 3 years, 2 years in person, and 1 year virtual, and now this is 2nd year virtual. And meanwhile, what we do is that we will have the prayers to be done before, and alongside we'll also take the aspiration Bodhisattva vow. And taking the aspiration Bodhisattva vow, there's no particular or there's no specific commitment as such. Only as long as one is committed, one can be committed to mentally feel that the henceforth seeing the benefit of cherishing others and seeing the demerits of cherishing oneself, to see that one's mind expands as one cherishes others. With this conviction, just taking this action Bodhisattva vow with the pledge that from today onwards, I will try my best. I'll try my best as much as possible to reach out to others, to help others. If not, at least not to harm others. And particularly to refrain from deliberate anger, deliberate agitation, and deliberate ill will. So these I will refrain as much as possible. If this is what you can commit yourself, then you are entitled to take this as Bodhisattva vow. So whereas for taking the actual Bodhisattva vow, then you should have some experience of bodhicitta as a result of meditating on the two methods, the sevenfold cause effect method and the method of equalizing and exchanging self and others. So only through these two practices, you get a deep conviction within you. Yes, the final meaning of my life is to reach out to cultivate love and affection. Where there is love and affection, everything grows, blossoms. Where there is no love and affection, everything shrinks and crunches. This conviction you should gain through the practice of the two methods, where if you have not been doing these two methods for the last 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and so forth, then it's not that we just make the commitment and then suddenly this mind will come to you. No, even this mind, given that everything is divinely originated, even this mind, that free flow of your mind towards the other beings, and to naturally feel the empathy, feel the love and affection towards unknown people, towards even the difficult people. So that is not that easy. is only through practice. And there may be some people who are gifted with compassion from the past lives practice. Yet I would say that except for only few, say 1 out of 1 million, 1 out of 1 million, can one expect to have this natural free flow of your mind towards your, towards the difficult people, towards the strangers, and towards your near and dear ones. But most of us, this is not a natural tendency. So our habit from past lives is very different. So now, if we are to have this, it's not that, okay, I'm the unfortunate one, I did not inherit this from the past life, I'm very unfortunate. No, this is also dependent originated. We can cultivate it. We can make it ourselves in this life by practicing these 2 methods. So in order to be a Nobel laureate in physics, we can't expect that a guru blesses you and then suddenly the next day you become a Nobel laureate in physics. They come up with the theories, relativity theory, quantum physics, and so forth. It's impossible. You have to work hard towards these ends. So with this mind, after the prayer, then we will take the expression Bodhisattva vow. And then the point is that as we commit ourselves, I will try my best to help others. If not, at least I'll not harm others. If this is the commitment that you make, and then that itself is one of the factors dependent upon which later on your bodhicitta will become very spontaneous and powerful. Okay, with this mind, the first led us to setting a proper motivation for that matter. So let us just follow the instructions to set a proper motivation, given that what you're doing is the Heart Sutra, which is so precious. And in fact, I'll say there are no doubt each one of us, we're going to be benefited, including myself. And I'm so grateful that there is Kalachakra Center there who is taking this initiative, that we are all together, and then we hear of this teaching, which happened 2,500 years ago. With this in mind, given that what we're doing is so precious, to make sure that this is of greater benefit, of the utmost benefit, that the great Tibetan masters, they mention 2 things. The 2 things which are of the crucial, which are of great importance, one at the beginning and one at the end. And at the beginning, setting proper motivation, at the end, and at the end, and dedicating the merits properly. So with this in mind, let us just sit upright in whatever, wherever you are sitting, whether it be on a cushion, chair, floor, whatever, just make sure that you sit comfortably. At the same time, back upright, and let us just flow into the instructions as I'm giving now. Okay, let us reinforce the visualization of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, particularly Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Avalokiteshvara, and the Arhat Shariputra, and all the enlightened beings, and your own respective teachers. I know that each one of you have your own respective teachers. Let us all visualize our own respective teachers who are the inspiration of love and affection, wisdom, compassion. And how you visualize them plays a very important role, and them to be so loving, caring, embracing, the way, the manner in which a mother's love is totally focused on our young, vulnerable infant. This is how much the love and affection, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they manifest on you and all your dear sentient beings. Okay. Now, next, the bodhicitta field. Visualize your two parents on the two sides. Be they pass away or they are still on the planet Earth. You visualize them around you, and all your family members, including your children, and all other the sentient beings, the animals, the insects, hungry ghosts, hell beings, the human beings, god and goddesses, asuras, gandharvas, all the beings who are suffering in samsara. And here you are like the mother. And eventually, when you practice bodhicitta, you could literally feel that all are like my children. You could literally feel that at one point. So just try to feel that. Even though it is superficial, it doesn't matter. Yet, at the moment, it may be superficial. It doesn't matter. This is how we start from what is superficial at one point to become very naturally flowing bodhicitta. So loving, caring, and embracing. And let's not forget that each one of us, we have the Buddha nature, the seed of perfection. Whether you're Buddhist or not, it doesn't matter. Everyone has this seed of perfection. Seed of perfection, when full awakened, in Sanskrit, it is known as the Buddha, which means awakened, awakened one. Anybody can be awakened. Anyone can be awakened. Anyone can go into the state of awakening. So we all have that seed of perfection. So our job is, the job or the purpose of the life is to do things to awaken this seed of perfection so that you will reach, you will acquire the state of the fearlessness and the state of infinite happiness. And this fearlessness is all by clearing away your, say, the negative thoughts, negative speech, and negative actions, the physical actions. So wanting to renounce all these negative physical, verbal, and mental the activities, this is known as renunciation. Next is to experience this infinite happiness, that your mind should feel the utmost at ease. That happens when your mind flows freely with no obstructions, flows freely. And this is, your mind has that capacity to flow freely to every atom of the universe. And yet what blocks that is a self-centered attitude. And wishing to get rid of this obstacle, hindrance, the deterrent factor, the self-centered attitude. Wishing to get rid of this is known as the bodhicitta. Wishing to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings. Just think of that for a while. And these two can best be accomplished by the wisdom to see the reality, interdependent reality, and that nothing exists independently. So these three things, keep in mind that, okay, these are the three treasures, and nothing in this world, like cars, house, say the whatever in this world, well, which are all perishable. You can own that one time, but when we leave this world, we have to leave everything. But these three treasures, if you have, you can take with you at all times. These three treasures will guarantee you that your house is to give protection, and the greatest of the protection from all the ills and all the difficulties is given by the sense of the renunciation. And the greatest the ease, you go for parties and so forth to get some ease, holidays to get ease. And the greatest ease that you can get is by the bodhicitta. And this will accompany you throughout your lifetime, this lifetime, the future lifetime, till Buddhahood. And this wisdom will guarantee that these two aspirations, to be freed from, to get the full protection and to experience the ultimate ease, will be guaranteed by the wisdom. So just keep in mind, today I'm learning that these are the three treasures which will always accompany me. and all the other treasures, whatever I have in this life, like the house, cars, the insurance, all these things are just confined to this life. Yes, they are important. They are not to be ignored. But at the same time, I should not forget these three treasures, the trio, which will accompany me eternally and to provide me the best of the protection and the total ease. Okay, with this in mind, let us take a few seconds to invoke the spirit. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Be it superficial, it doesn't matter. Just let us invoke the spirit. Take this opportunity to invoke the spirit. Okay, with this in mind, let us do the prayers together. And Jimbala, is there the prayer in French? Okay, good. French, is it being the screen shared? Screen sharing is done? French. Okay. Okay, sound. Okay, Jimbala, say it again. Jimbala, say it again. I cannot hear you. No, in English is fine. In French. Okay. Okay. The French people, they are very particular to make sure that they have their own copies. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so we'll say this prayer together wholeheartedly. This one. Okay. This one. Okay, it's fine. Okay, so now our program coordinator is assigning me to do the prayers. I thought she's going to do it. Okay, so we'll say this together. Imagine that all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas there with us, and you are, all the sentient beings there with you, and you are leading this, and all beings are happily joining you. And teach by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. And teach by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. And teach by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Sanye Joda Zoge Jonam La Chanjo Bardo Dane Gyapsu Che Dage Jinso Kebe Sonam Tola Benjira Sanye Dubara Sho Sanye Joda Zoge Jonam La Chanjo Bardo Dane Gyapsu Che Dage Jinso Kebe Sonam Ge Tola Benjira Sanye Dubara Sho Sanye Joda Zoge Jonam La Badu Dane Gyapsu Che Dage Jinso Kebe Sonam Rola Benjir Sangye Rubare Shom. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, while my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, while my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. In dependent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness and no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace, which is free of elaborations. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the bodhisattvas, and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all lead hearers seeking pacification, complete peace, who through the knowledge of paths cause those helping migrators to achieve the aims of the world, and who through the possession of omniscience help subdue us, expound a variety of teachings. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings. The teacher, Sugata and protector, to you I make prostrations. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines for the forever noble light race. To you, the Buddha, I make prostrations. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Okay, I will recite this mantra, and I know that many of you know this mantra already, and not only the mantra, but the meaning of the mantra. And those who do not know the meaning, let me see if I get time to explain this very quickly during in the course of the class. But we have to know the meaning, and this must be, if possible, try to use this as a mirror to see how your mind is behaving on a daily basis, and to see how to fix this mind so that our mind will go towards the fearlessness instead of embracing the cause of the fears. That the mind goes towards a state of ease instead of going towards the disturbance. Okay, this is what we should be doing, to use this mantra as a let's say the mirror for us in a spiritual journey. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham dathagato hyavatat tesham jayo nirodha evam vadi mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato hyavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato hyavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. The meaning of the mantra: all phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well is taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear-light and non-composite. Such is the nectar Dharma I have discovered. Finding no one who can fathom this teaching, in silence I'll return to the woods. Beyond our trends, thought and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is unborn, unceased, and has the nature of space. It is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas of the 3 times, I be obeisance. The 4 C's of the Buddha's teachings: all composite things are impermanent. All contaminated things are the nature of suffering. All phenomena are the nature of emptiness and selflessness. Transcending sorrow is peace. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the source of everything wholesome. I go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, you liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of the expanse of billions of eons. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of the suchness that the beings are liberated. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered miseries gloom. If you're attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you're attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you're attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there's grasping, you do not have the view. Okay, we'll read the Heart Sutra mantra together. And if you have been there in the place where the Heart Sutra was taught, the vulture speak Tibetan, Chagui Pumbori. If you happen to be there already, I just visualize that you are there. Your all your family members, including children, your parents, everyone there, and all the sentient beings there, and the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, the particular Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, then Avalokiteshvara, and the Shariputra, they're all there. And imagine that you are directly receiving, say the blessings from Buddha Shakyamuni, inspiring you, not to be fearful of samsara, to get out of samsara by cleansing your mind, to discover your true nature of your own mind. So this is what you visualize the Buddha as exhorting, and each one of us, let us be there, encourage, inspire all the other sentient beings to join you to recite this, and to actually go from the state of darkness to the state of light, to the from the state of selfishness to the state of the other cherishing, the most beautiful mind, bodhicitta, and from the state of anger to a state of embracing all others. Deyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhiswaha Tyata 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 Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhiswaha. Okay, we will recite the following verses to take this expression Bodhisattva vow. The first verse 3 times. So for all these, we have about like total 5 sessions. There are 5 sessions, and for all these 5, every morning we will do this taking the expression Bodhisattva vow. Okay, with this in mind, the first verse. Okay, the first verse, this verse that is given there, it says that I go for refuge to the triple gem. The mantra which recited, Gade Gade Para Gade Parasam Gade Bodhiswaha. So this is actually the roadmap for a mind to go from the state of the misery to the state of ultimate happiness. There's a roadmap, because this is a journey that we undertake, where we are supposed to undertake. And this journey, given that this is yes, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of commitment, and because of we need a tremendous support. And the greatest of the support that we can think of in this world, in this universe, are the 3 jewels. So the first line says, I go for refuge in the triple gem. This is the first point. Then the second line says, I confess the negativities individually, which means that while you undertake this journey, if the road is blocked by the trees, the fallen trees and the boulders and so forth, again, you cannot undertake the journey. The road must be cleared. Likewise, this road is none other than our own mind pertaining to the journey of enlightenment. So this mind must be cleared of the obstacles. And how to clear the obstacles? The best way, the most efficient way is by confessing the negativities. So it says, I confess the negativities individually. So now the road is clear and you have the greatest support. But if your car does not have fuel, again, you cannot move. So your car is none. The car is none other than your own mind. And this car of your mind requires tremendous fuel of the merit, the fuel of the virtue and the merit. And how to accumulate this enormous amount of the merit and virtues? One of the easiest way, as presented by Lama Tsongkhapa, is that it is through rejoicing in the virtues of others, virtues of Buddhist Bodhisattvas, virtues of all the other practitioners, virtues of your friends, and virtues of yourself even. To rejoice in your virtues also. Rejoice in virtues will, within a short span of time, in a very easy way, you can accumulate so much merit. Now, the road is clear and your car has enough fuel. Where are you going to go? This next question. Yes, I will. This journey is going to be journey of Buddhahood, journey towards Buddhahood. So the fourth line says, I'll hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart, which means that I'm going to achieve this Buddhahood. Yeah, I'm going to achieve this Buddhahood. And it's not that the Buddha is elsewhere, is not somewhere else. It is within you. Just remove the mental defilement and the Buddhahood is going to be awakened. The seed of perfection is going to be awakened. So this is the point. We'll say this 3 times together. And imagine again that all sentient beings are with you, including your children, including your parents, including all the family members, all the sentient beings with you, and you are encouraging them, and they're so inspired to happily join you in this journey. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. Okay. The next 2 verses, is the saying that how I'm going to become Buddha. I don't know. If you don't know, then you would look for a role model. In this world, you found you can go to find that there was once a Prince Siddhartha who succeeded in this. One single person, he accomplished a result, and now for the last 2,500 years, millions and billions and trillions of beings, not only human beings, even the spirits, even the hungry ghosts, the god and goddesses, millions and billions and trillions and infinite number of beings are being benefited by one single being who become awakened. How come that he's able to benefit all these beings? For 2 factors: initial motivation and the actual engagement into his practice. How? He became awakened. How did he become awakened? One, the motivation was the bodhicitta, may I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. He generated very strong motivation, bodhicitta. And then next factor is that to materialize this aspiration, may I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, then he actually engaged in the practices which will take him to the Buddhahood. So now this is the first verse. The first verse for us to see the Buddha Shakyamuni as a role model. And then the second verse says that if this is how this Prince Siddhartha achieved Buddhahood to benefit all the beings through 2 factors, I will follow his footsteps. Initially by generating very strong bodhicitta, motivation bodhicitta, and then to materialize this aspiration, I will engage in the Bodhisattva practices. So this is how these 3 verses combined together become the aids for us to generate take the aspiration Bodhisattva vow. Okay, let's say this together 3 times. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just as the previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwelled in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just as the previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successively dwelled in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just as previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successively dwelled in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices. Okay. First, we need to know that the this Heart Sutra, as we read before, the one who has transformed into the reliable guide, meaning that the Prince Siddhartha, who was once a prince, and in a very conventional vernacular sense, he was very compassionate and extremely the intelligent, extremely smart since childhood, and he manifested these qualities. And finally, he left the palace. Why? He discovered the deeper reality of the life, that everyone, at least on this earth, everyone is suffering. In those days, you may be, say, a pauper or beggar. Yes, they have their own problems. And then the one who is the most powerful, the kings and the queens, they have their own problems. I say, in the palace, he was so protected by the king, Prince Siddhartha, wondering or the suspecting that he may leave the palace. He may leave the palace and to become a renunciate. So the king was so protective to make sure that this Prince Siddhartha, he does not know anything about the outside world. And yet, within the palace, he could see many things happening. For example, like injustices, how the royal family members, they treat the servants, and how the servants have been treated so unjustly, and there was how all these the competitions, jealousies, and then worst, wars among the kingdoms, where everybody is in fear. So this was what this Prince Siddhartha witnessed, and because of which he pondered, I must save these beings, save the people. I must save the people. How? If I follow the footsteps of my father, at best I can become another king. By becoming king, look at my father. He himself, he could not protect, forget about the world. He could not even protect his own, the subjects. let alone the subjects, even his own family, he could not protect. Where there's a war happening between kingdoms, his family is going to be the first the people to be in threat, because they will target the king's family. So this is not a way. And what's the way out? Then he thought that I must go to revolutionize the whole idea, to do something, to do something out of box, to do something which is very different. Then he left the palace in search of this path. So it says, the one who has transformed into the reliable guide. This Prince Siddhartha became a reliable guide to lead us all from the state of darkness of miseries, ignorance, and selfishness to the light of the wisdom and compassion. So how did he become that? Initially, he was driven by the altruism to benefit all the beings. The one who is transformed to a reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings. So, all of us, although at this moment, we may not be as motivated, as driven, the way the manner in which this Prince Siddhartha was driven out of great compassion, but at least we have a role model there. How this Prince Siddhartha followed the path, initially driven by great compassion, altruism. Then what did he do? He went in search of the teacher. The one who is transformed into a reliable guide, motivated by the altruism to benefit sentient beings. The teacher, Sugata, and protector, to you I make prostrations. The teacher. What does mean by teacher means? So this Prince Siddhartha went in search of a teacher to learn something which eventually he should be teaching this to all the beings, that the beings liberated from the ensnarement of the pains, agony, depression, anxiety, to the state of total freedom and ultimate ease. So he went in search of a teacher. What teacher he met? The first he met, in other words, he met two teachers. First, the Acharya, the great scholar, Alargalam. He met this teacher. And then he followed this teacher, the instructions, and finally, he reached the same level as that of the teacher. So that is mainly pertaining to the samadhi practice of the single-pointed meditation. He achieved that. And he may request for more teachings. And what you're going to learn is that the meditative experiences, there are two sides. One is single-pointed meditation, and the other one is analytical meditation. There are two. Meditative experiences can be classified into two: single-pointed meditation and the analytical meditation. And for the single-pointed meditation, they say analytical meditation, particularly analytical meditation, focus on emptiness, which we're going to study as part of Heart Sutra. And this is something which came into existence on this earth only with the advent of Buddha Shakyamuni. Only with the advent of Buddha Shakyamuni, this teaching on the analytical meditation focused on emptiness. Of course, the analytical meditation did exist before the Buddha Shakyamuni, but the analytical meditation focused on the ultimate reality that came into existence on this earth with the advent of Buddha Shakyamuni. Okay, so before that, all the contemporary teachers, they were just focused on the single-pointed meditation, to fine-tuning the single-pointed meditation. And this teacher, he reached one level, which is known as the single-pointed meditation, or the samadhi of the vacuity. Vacuity meaning there's one level, very high level of the realm. And Prince Siddhartha, he reached the same level. He asked for more teachings. And the teacher said that you already reached the same level as I reached. And there's nothing more beyond this. There's nothing beyond this. So you already are a great teacher. Now stay with me, and all my students are your students. And the Prince Siddhartha, he felt that maybe I got something to free myself from the disturbing emotions with this very calm, soothing meditation, but still I don't have the capacity to benefit all the beings. I came here to look for a solution to help all the beings. And then he left to look for the next teacher. And he found the second teacher. Okay, yeah, the Acharya Udrega. And this teacher, they was somebody who accomplished the highest level of the single-pointed meditation, highest level, but deprived of the other side. Analytical meditation focused on emptiness. That is still missing, even with the second teacher. And again, the Prince Siddhartha sought his help, and again he reached the same level as the teacher, asked for my teachings, and he said, no, now this is the end. You have already reached moksha. You have already reached moksha, moksha meaning liberation. Now there's nothing beyond this. And Prince Siddhartha, yes, he knew that within himself that he did not have the ability to benefit all the beings. So he went in search of the path, and finally 6 years of practice, austerity, and also the awakening of the seed from his past many lifetimes, he finally accomplished this experience of the analytical meditation on emptiness, combined with the single-pointed meditation, which he learned from the two teachers. With this, in 6 years' time, at the age of 35, then under the Bodhi tree, he became enlightened. Okay, so that wisdom of the emptiness, that wisdom as which the Buddha taught eventually in Rajgir, in many places in India, this wisdom, what is the one which he was meant to teach to the other beings, to help the beings, to guide the beings from the state of darkness to the ultimate illumination. Okay, so that is the teacher. Now, in order to see the efficacy of this, how efficacious is this wisdom of emptiness? Does it really help to remove your fears of life, the miseries of life, the tension of life, the depression and stress of life? He experimented it for himself, the way and manner in which today, for example, the COVID-19, as the vaccines are being developed, they should be actually put under trial to look for the efficacy of how efficacious these vaccines are. And then the Pfizer is said to be like 95% efficacy. So the same thing, Prince Siddhartha, he was looking for the efficacy of this, the wisdom of emptiness, to see how efficacious that is pertaining to eradicating your fears of life. So this was what he was trying to help the beings to get rid of their fears. And he did it on himself first to see if it really works. Then he meditated for 6 years, and yes, he succeeded. At the age of 35, he felt the total luminosity and the total blissful state where all the mental agitations, anxiety, stress, everything dissolved for good. So with this is known as Sugata, the one who has gone to the bliss of the perfect purity, where all the mental stains are purified. So with this, seeing the efficacy of this wisdom of emptiness, then he went to protect the beings by showing this, the path. So 2 lines indicated, the one who has transformed into the reliable guide. This Prince Siddhartha, under the Bodhi tree, at the age of 35, he became the reliable guide to lead all the beings who aspire to be freed from the tension of samsara, from the stress, depression of the COVID-19 and so forth. Anybody who likes to be freed of these, he showed the path. So how did he do that? Initially, he was motivated by great compassion, wanting to help all the beings, and the altruism to benefit all the beings. Then he went in search of the teacher, number 2. Then, having having found the solution which he is to teach to all the beings, he experimented it on himself to see the efficacy of that. Then number 3, yes, he saw the 100% efficacy of this wisdom of emptiness, the Sugata. He experienced the total bliss of the bliss of the total purity. With this, then he becomes so confident to go to protect the beings by showing this light of the path. Okay. Now, and if no doubt whether you are male or female, whether you're from north of the north part of the globe or the southern part of the globe, east, west, it doesn't matter. Whether you are male or female, whether from this religion, that religion, whether you're from this ethnicity, that ethnicity, it doesn't matter. Everybody shares this sentiment. I don't want suffering. I'm afraid of COVID. And I want as great ease as possible. In other words, I want as maximum happiness. This is the reality of everyone. So if you really determine, if you really come to know that, yes, I do fall in this category. I'm afraid of COVID-19. I'm afraid of anything which harms me. And I want people around me to be so accommodating, so warm. If this is what you find yourself as to be, then this is the path which the Buddha showed. It's not to look for, say, the Buddhists, is to look for somebody who wants to be freed from anxiety, free, and who wants to expand the circle of happiness. This is a path meant for these people, not for those people who think that I want to be Buddhist. For those people who want to be liberated from suffering and who want to have the maximum happiness, who want to share this happiness for others. These people deserve this teaching of the Buddha. Okay. So with this in mind, then what happened was that under the Bodhi tree, the Buddha became enlightened. And then he was sitting, just, sitting in this experience of this total bliss, the bliss of the total purity, Sugatahood. And in this experience, he remained for 49 days. And I say, most of us, for us, it may be little, how can we explain that? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There are many things which we need to unfold as our mind becomes more and more susceptible to these. Our mind becomes more and more matured. Okay. So the kings of the gods and goddesses, Brahma, Indra, they sense that on the planet Earth, Prince Siddhartha, he became full awakened, but still he is not giving any teaching. He remained in meditation. So why not he, why not? The whole intention was to guide the beings, but he's not guiding. He's under the Bodhi tree sitting in the meditation. Then the two kings of the god and goddesses, Brahma and Indra, they descended and made prostrations to the Buddha, then revered as the Buddha Gautama. Buddha Shakyamuni prostrated and made request, please don't remain silent. Please turn the wheel of Dharma. Turn the wheel of Dharma means give teachings, share your light of the wisdom that you've acquired to all the beings. Then the Buddha said, then the Buddha said that profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, and a clear light, non-composite, such a nectar-like reality, nectar-like dharma is what I've discovered. Finding no one who can fathom the depth of this teaching, in silence, I'll return to the woods. What the Buddha is saying that this wisdom, which alone has the capacity to purify your mental defilements and make you be awakened, make you feel, make you experience this total fearlessness, infinite happiness. So that is so profound that hardly anybody can experience it. So therefore, there's no point in going around rather I'll prefer to be in the woods, in the wilderness. Then the Indra and Brahma, the kings of the god and goddesses, they made more prostrations and made the request. And finally, Buddha accepted. Buddha turned towards Sarnath, Varanasi. I'm sure many of you been there to Varanasi as well as the Varanasi. And there, the Buddha started to give teachings. Okay. This teaching, all the teachings, the corpus of the teachings the Buddha gave, they are being classified into, broadly speaking, 3 categories, referred to as the 3 turnings of the wheel of Dharma. 3 turnings of the wheel of Dharma. So the first turning was the first turning of the wheel of Dharma. The first teaching happened in Varanasi, Sarnath. And the second teaching was done in the Rajgir, Vulture Peak, particularly Vulture Peak in Rajgir. Is about like 2 or 3 hours from Bodh Gaya. Was done there. The second turn of Wheel of Dharma. And third turn of Wheel of Dharma was done in Vaishali. Okay. We need to know say at times I may become a little technical, given that I know that there are many of you who are really well exposed to the Buddhist philosophy, more the technicalities. For them, I should not miss the technicalities. At the same time, those who are new, don't be overwhelmed. Oh, there are so many things, I don't really understand anything. Don't feel overwhelmed, feel joyous. I'm so lucky that I'm with all these old students, long-term students. I'm so lucky that I'm able to sit with them. When I was in class, say the class, the 9, 10, 11, 12 in my high schools, I was just imagining what that would be like to sit with the PhD students. When I was in class, high school, when I was just like teenager, I was just wondering what is that like? They must be full of fun to be with, sitting with the PhD students. So likewise, those who are really new to this, you should be feeling so happy that you are sitting with many of the PhD students of Buddhist philosophy. You should be feeling proud of yourself rather than feeling overwhelmed. Okay, and even those people who are now, who can follow me so well, once, many years ago, they were exactly like you. They were overwhelmed. And because of their consistency, now they can see you and they can say, oh, they can empathize with you, that you become so overwhelmed. Okay, so what I'm saying is that those who are new, don't feel overwhelmed. Instead, feel that, okay, there are many things that I need to learn. And Buddhism is not like, it's not like close your eyes and then that is Buddhism. Or Buddhism is like, be compassionate, this Buddhism. Compassion has so many layers. It's not just like, if you say Buddhism is just compassion, which means that you are very naive. If you say Buddhism is just, close the eyes, this is very naive, a great naivety. There's a tremendous sophistication. Close your eyes, within that, there are so many sophistications here. Compassion, there are so many sophistications here. Some which we already possess from our birth, and some which we have to cultivate. You wouldn't believe the compassion that you already have. When you display this compassion, it will not move you into tears. Whereas if you could feel the compassion of the Bodhisattvas, even just a pinch of the compassion of the Bodhisattvas, it will make you run into tears. It's so profound, so vast. Okay, so this is what we are learning here from this Heart Sutra. This is so precious. Okay, so what the Buddha taught was that basically the Buddhist philosophy, the Buddha Why, in the first place, why the Buddha said that I don't find anybody who can fathom the depth of this teaching, the reality that I've discovered, is because that the this concept of emptiness, which we're going to study from Heart Sutra, is extremely profound. Yes, indeed, it's very profound. To be very honest, what I would say is that, in fact, renunciation is one thing which is very profound. Then the bodhicitta is more sophisticatedly profound, and the wisdom of emptiness is even more sophisticated. And then talking about the very subtle psychology of your mind, how the mind works, and in subtle psychology is extremely sophisticated. How the mind and the physiology, these two are connected, and the physiology and our biology, these two are connected. Is so physiology, biology, the connection with these two is relatively easier, but the connection between the physiology and the psychology, how these two are connected. These two are not connected on the gross level. These two are connected on the subtle level. That's very sophisticated. So the point is that the point is that this emptiness, the concept of which the Buddha saw that if you unfold this is a key to get to the liberation. If you don't unfold this, no matter what you do, whatever meditation that you do, no matter what you do, for example, the two teachers of the Buddha before the Prince Siddhartha became a Buddha, so no matter how sophisticated the meditation skills they acquired, but they are not liberated from samsara, that's for sure. And this is not a belief. It's not because that text said it. No, you will realize it. Without the wisdom of emptiness, you continue to be ensnared by your sleep. You continue to be ensnared by your dream. In dream, no matter what you do, you are not free from the dream. In the dream, you may sit meditate. The fact that you think that you're meditating in the dream, that itself is dream. You're not free from the dream. So the point is that seeing the emptiness is to wake up from the sleep of ignorance, to wake up from the dream of ignorance. That only then you'll be freed from all the contents of the dream. Till that point, no matter, say you fall asleep, you start to dream, or dream of, dream of contracting COVID. No, I must get away from this, or dream of, the having anxiety, becoming anxietic or depressed. Then you imagine, then in the dream you go to a teacher to get teachings, and then you do meditation. Everything is dream, still dream. Meditation is also in the dream. The fact that you endorse to this dream as real, you will not wake up. So no matter what you do, till you see emptiness, no matter what you do, no matter what sophisticated meditation that you do, it will not help you to get out of samsara, get out of your miseries. This is a fact. And this you will discover the moment you get a glimpse of what this emptiness is. Only then you will discover that, okay, no matter what I do, till I get the emptiness, I cannot get out of samsara. Forget about achieving Buddhahood. This conviction is what you are bound to get. So with this in mind, they say to wake up, Buddha adopted the skillful means to wake up the people, wake up the beings in 4 steps. The first, a very shallow waking up. The next, a partial waking up. The third, still more waking up. And then finally, fully waking up. So the Buddha adopted 4 ways to wake up the beings in stages. So these stages later came to be known as the 4 Buddhist philosophical schools. You have to learn these, the 4 Buddhist philosophical schools. Okay, had it been the case that we are actually in the Kalachakra Center, the way we did the first 2 years, And then, of course, I will not spare you. We will be together from the morning till the night. We're all together, eating together, studying together, discussing together. And so that way, then, you know, all these things, all these details, we will invariably learn. So here, I would really encourage you to make sure that you, if you, most of you, you're already familiar with, you know, these classifications, but for some of you who are new, this may be totally okay. There are so many new things I have to learn. Don't worry. Take it as a great, you know, opportunity that I'm sitting, because that I'm sitting with, and say, my teaching would have been very different if it is group of purely beginners, and it's going to be very slow, but I'm a little faster. So you should be feeling, the newcomers should be feeling so fortunate that, okay, he's going fast, so that I'm getting so much time, so many things in short period of time. Okay, so with this mind, these 4 stages, the steps or the stages which the Buddha adopted to wake up the beings in stepwise, these came to be known as the 4 philosophical schools of Buddhism, 4 Buddhist philosophical schools. One is Vaibhashika, number 2 is Sautrantika, number 3 is Chittamatra, number 4 is Madhyamika. Let me repeat it. Number 1, Vaibhashika. Okay. Number 2, Sautrantika. And then later on, if you still feel a little confused, you can check with Venerable Elizabeth. We also have the Venerable Jimbala there. Yeah, they are. And then there are many from the Nalanda diploma course also. Yes, number 1 is Vaibhashika. Number 2 is the Sautrantika. Number 3, Chittamatra. Number 4, Madhyamika. Okay, and for your information, these 4 will come in the philosophical discussions so often times. As such, we don't really have to worry that there's so many details. No, these two will come, just repeat. They repeat every now and then. They'll repeat. It's not that difficult. Okay. So with this in mind, the first turning wheel of Dharma. The Buddha taught the first 2 schools. So these 4 schools, how are enumerated? Vaibhashika, Sautrantika, Chittamatra, Madhyamika, that is put in the order where progressively their philosophy becomes subtler. Progressively they become subtler. The first one is basic, then more sophisticated, and finally the most sophisticated. This is how we put this in this particular order. So the first teaching of the first turning wheel of Dharma, the Buddha taught that to particularly targeted to these 2, the first 2 schools, the beings who follow the first 2 schools, or whose mindset tallies with the first 2 schools, Vaibhashika and Sautrantika. Okay, where the Buddha taught the 4 noble truths, how the beings suffer in samsara and how the beings can be freed from samsara. Truth of suffering, truth of cause of suffering, the set of cause and effect related to suffering and the cause of suffering. Once you identify that, how to come out of that, again, the set of another cause and effect pertaining to freedom from the pains, truth of the cessation of suffering, and the truth of the path leading to the cessation. 4 noble truths taught. While the Buddha taught the 4 noble truths, to be truly existent. Let's not forget it. This is the key. Truly existent. 4 noble truths as truly existent. Then on another occasion, in Rajgir. Okay, raise hands those who happen to be there on Vulture's Peak, where the Buddha taught the Heart Sutra. Raise hands. Okay, many of you. And those who haven't been there, I would suggest you the best time would be the winter. here in India, both Gaya, winter would be the best time. Okay, then on Valsha's Peak or in Rajgir, the Buddha taught the second turning of the wheel of Dharma. There, the Buddha taught nothing exists truly. So this teaching, the target audience was the Madhyamika, the last one. The first teaching was targeted to them, the first and the second, Vaibhashika and Sautrantika. And the second teaching, where the Buddha taught nothing exists truly, the target audience was Madhyamika, the last one. And then what about the third one, which is Chittamatra? They were confused because they were not as smart as the Madhyamika, and they were smarter than the Vaibhashika and Sautrantika. So they were in the middle. They were confused. First turning wheel of Dharma, where the Buddha taught the Four Noble Truths exist truly, and second turning wheel of Dharma, where the Buddha taught nothing exists truly. So the first two are the people with the mindset of the first two schools. They were happy with the first turning wheel of Dharma. And the people of the mindset of the Madhyamika philosophy, they were happy with the second turning wheel of Dharma. And then the Chittamatra, those with the Chittamatra mindset, they were confused. What is that now? The Buddha, at one point, the Buddha taught the Four Noble Truths to be truly existent. And the second time, the Buddha taught nothing is truly. So which should I take literally? Which is true now? Okay. So with this, what happened was that in Vaishali, the third turning wheel of Dharma plays in Vaishali. In Vaishali, the Bodhisattva, in fact, in Vaishali, what happened was that it was not specifically targeted for this particular clarification, but it so happened that the Buddha was presiding over a huge congregation where the, let's say, 10 bodhisattvas, 10 the greatly sophisticated, advanced bodhisattvas, they asked 10 questions to the Buddha. 10 bodhisattvas, one by one, asked 10 different questions to the Buddha. Then the one bodhisattva by the name Pramat Samudgata, Bodhisattva Pramat Samudgata. He stood up. One of the questions was his question. He stood up, made prostrations to the Buddha, and then asked this question. What is this question? The question is that the fully awakened one, you, in the first turning wheel of Dharma in Varanasi, you taught the Four Noble Truths to be truly existent. Whereas in Rajgir, you, the fully awakened one, taught that nothing exists truly. If we are to take these two teachings literally, there's a contradiction. For sure, for the awakened one, for the enlightened one, there's no contradiction within. There must be reason. What could be the reason? So he, on behalf of, he did not require any clarification. Bodhisattva Pramat Samudgata, he did not require any clarification. He was just asking this question on behalf of the people with the mindset of the Chittamatras. On their behalf, he asked this question because he's very confident. He's of very high level, the 10th level, the Bomi, which means that he was on the verge to become enlightened, like Shariputra, like like Aravukhtishvara, like Aramanjushri. He's already on the verge to become enlightened. He did not really require any clarification on that respect, but he asked this on behalf of those people who were confused, on those people whose mindset tallies with that of Chittamatra. For them, he asked this question. Then the Buddha said, Buddha interpreted. Buddha made the clarification by interpreting his own first teaching and the second teaching to suit the mindset of the Chittamatra philosophy. So that came to be known as the one part of the third turning wheel of Dharma, and the philosophy grounded on that teaching came to be known as Chittamatra philosophy. Okay, so this basic framework. Now, with this in mind, the second turning wheel of Dharma, the Heart Sutra that we are teaching now, this teaching falls under the category of the second turning of the wheel of Dharma. Okay, the same second turning wheel of Dharma, it is not only Heart Sutra. There are many other teachings. There are many other teachings given on emptiness. This is much. Okay. There are many teachings given on given on emptiness. There are many, not only Heart, and Heart Sutra, from the very title, we can make out that there's a Heart of the Wisdom of the Perfection Sutra. Heart, the full form is Heart of the Wisdom of the Perfection Sutra, which means that there are so many teachings the Buddha gave on the wisdom of perfection, perfection wisdom. There are so many teachings given there. From these, this is the heart. This is the essence. What we are doing, this is the essence. Of course, if you read it, it's very short. It's very short. And that too, it is in the form of a dialogue happening where the Buddha presided over the congregation, and the dialogue was happening between Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara. Okay. But this, I would not hesitate even to include some of the technicalities, particularly for the newcomers. If you feel little, say too technical, it won't be too technical. If you say it's too technical, then I'm not too sure you are being honest. It's not too technical. Okay. Because there are many senior students, I would make sure that even some of the technicalities are included. But particularly, say we see that say talking about the Heart Sutra, we see that it's talking about the ontological reality. What is ontological reality? A philosophical jargon. What is ontological reality? It simply means that, okay, what we see here is we see a flower. Is it really a flower? This question. Is it really a flower? Okay, let's say a young boy or a young girl. What would be your reaction towards this young girl and young boy and young girl who is very compassionate, loving, presentable? What's your reaction? Right? What's your reaction? Okay. So this, of course, is so nice. Of course, it's not. It looks so. Are they so active, dynamic, presentable, and youthful? So nice. But it's not necessary that everybody should see that object meaning the girl and the boy, as so nice. Not necessary. It depends on your perception. So Bodhisattva Aryadev, who was the principal student of Arya Nagarjuna, what he said was that even a very appealing boy or girl, youthful boy or girl, whether it's very appealing or not sure. It depends on the viewer. 3 viewers align sees this youthful boy and the girl, and a practitioner who's trying to cut one's attachment to samsara, always viewing things as so impure, going into the body of the person, what's inside, the bones, the flesh, then the fatty tissues, and the heart, and the intestine. People who are just always meditating on these. And a lustful person. 3 people. If you let them describe this object, a youthful girl and youthful boy, a lion will say that's a delicious meal for me. A delicious meal for me. And then they say the practitioner who always looks to see what is inside the heart, lungs, intestine, stomach, and so forth. Please don't ask me. Take this object away. It's so impure. And then the lustful person describe this. Wow, it's divinely, it's heavenly, it's godly, it's divine. So look, 3 different descriptions of the same object. So what the object is not determined by the object per se, that is determined by the subject. So likewise, what is this? Is this flower? Again, we see, yes, of course it's flower. Of course it's flower. And still amongst the participants here, when I ask this question, is this flower? You will say, yes, this is flower, no doubt, right? Anybody who says that this is not flower is crazy, or has a mental problem, should be taken to mental hospital. Yes, this is where to really analyze what is the reality out there, independent of your mind. What's the reality out there? What do you see? What you take for granted as a flower, don't do that. Just analyze what is really there, really there from the object, independent of your subjective input. What is there? This question. So with this question, what is really there, independent of your subjective input, that is known as the ontological reality. The question is, what is the ontological reality of this flower? This is the meaning. And the ontological reality of the objects is being analyzed not only by the Buddhist philosophers, many of the philosophers, and also physics, the quantum physicists, relativity theorists, and the Newtonian physics. They were all trying to explore the ontological reality of the object, and they came out with different answers. Okay, so the question is that they say what we see there is one thing, what we see there, and usually this is the fact is that except for one mind, all our minds are deceptive, all our minds are erroneous, except for one mind. Except for one mind who actually, the one mind which actually sees the ontological reality in the deep meditative samadhi of the wisdom, not just the samadhi in general. Meditative samadhi of the wisdom, except for this wisdom of emptiness, except for that mind, all our minds. You are seeing me with, the hands moving like this. And then you smile, you see each other on the screen smiling. There is some degree of deception there. So what we see does not really tally with the reality, does not connote the reality. So with this, that's quite scary. In fact, all my emotions, I'm happy, I'm not happy, they're all determined by my encountering with the object. And the object, this is like this is like that. I take the decisions, I describe it, I judge it on the basis of how it appears to my mind. And how it appears, if it is erroneous, it's quite scary. Then all my emotions, they're totally baseless. Yes, that's very true. This is where we are waking up. Our perceptions are deceptive like the dreams. Dreams is always deceptive. Only when you wake up, you discover that the dream was deceptive. In the dream, you will never discover the dream as deceptive. And some people might have what is known as lucid dream. Okay, you might have what is known as lucid dream, REM sleep, where you are aware that you're dreaming. Even there's a deceptivity there. Even there's a deceptivity there, but that deceptivity is much less as compared to somebody who is really sucked up by the dream to just be dissolved, to be just absorbed into this the world of the dream, and you sucked up. Your emotions are all determined by the perceptions taking place in the dream. So this is what the Buddha discovered. And when you say that, is this flower? You say, yes, of course. there's some degree of deception there. No. When you say no, this is where the Buddha said that it's so difficult to unfold this reality. What we are seeing, there's a element of deception there. This is why the Buddha was not keen to give the teachings out right out there. Okay. In other words, what you see is that we see this object as flower in one way, and the reality is something different. So the same object displays two realities. Reality that is shown to our ordinary deceptive minds, and that is actually shown to the undeceptive mind. The same object displays two realities. So one reality shown to our ordinary minds is known as conventional truth, and the one which actually is reality, that is known as the ultimate truth. Every object displays two realities. Okay. Now, with this, say, but let's say that, but yes, we are having class. Yes, even the Venerable Elizabeth, they say prepared this since long time ago. All this cause and infallible cause and effect operation is there. How can you say that this is deceptive? That's true. The world is operating. Simply because you say that, oh, everything is deceptive, nothing is operating, it doesn't mean that the COVID will stop right there. COVID is deceptive, COVID stops. No, COVID will not stop. Right? The world operates infallibly. What is this infallible operation of the world? Functionality of the world. This is operating on the conventional level. On the conventional level, yes, everything is there. Everything is there. Yet on the ultimate level, what we see is not really there in the ultimate level. There's a very different reality there. In other words, as of now, you may not, okay, what is he saying? I don't understand. Yes, I'm not expecting, those people who are exposed to the concept of emptiness, you are getting something. Those who are beginners, don't expect that. I went through the same phase when I was beginning, like 30 years ago, studying about emptiness. I was so confused. What is this? The world is operating, the functionality is there. How can I say that these don't exist? Okay, so this is where this is interesting part. This extremely interesting part, very important part. If you can really have a breakthrough of your insight into this ultimate reality, this is the meaning of waking up from the sleep of ignorance. Okay, now the second turning of wheel of dharma. Second turning wheel of dharma in Raj gear, where all the wisdoms were being taught. Wisdom of the ultimate reality, what constitutes ontological reality. The wisdom was taught, where all the wisdom was taught there. How the Buddha taught was, the Buddha taught in two ways. Same teaching containing two subject matters. One, the explicit subject matter, and the other, the implicit subject matter. Meaning that explicitly, the Buddha taught emptiness all the time. The six perfections are emptiness. The bodhicitta is the empty of true existence. And the five paths, gade, para, they are all empty of true existence. The Buddha taught explicitly the content matter of the perfection wisdom, including the Heart Sutra. Explicit content matters of this perfection wisdom sutras is all the emptiness. And implicitly, all the conventional realities are taught implicitly with the same teaching. For example, like how the Bodhisattva should follow, the practice of the wisdom of emptiness. The generosity, ethical discipline, patience, enthusiasm, all these practices, how can one practice? All these are indicated in the explicit content matters. So the second turn of wheel of dharma, we see that the teaching all taught by the Buddha himself, but within that we see that there are two layers. The surface level surface layer, which is on the wisdom of emptiness or the emptiness per se. And within that implicit subject matter is on the practices of the bodhisattvas. The minor practices were all indicated in the implicit content matter. So this is what we need to keep in mind. Now, when we study Heart Sutra, we see that there is the emptiness on the surface, teaching on emptiness on the surface, and implicitly there are other teachings also. So we need to discuss both what pertains to the what you find taught in Heart Sutra. Okay. So it's already 12:30. We'll stop here. We come back at okay, we come back at 2 o'clock. Okay, Indian Standard Time, 2 o'clock. In other words, after 1.5 hours, that's safer.
So that's
okay, we'll
9:30 in French.
Okay,
9:30 in French.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so all of us will come back 1.5 hours later, 1:30 in France. Okay. Deyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswahatyatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswahatyatha Om Gate Gate Paragate